G'day Hawks fans, welcome to Talking Hawks. I'm Matt, joined by the all-growing famous Liam. Welcome tonight. Liam, how's things, mate?
Going well up in the capital, Matt. Disappointed with Sunday, bit happy with Saturday, but how have you been?
Definitely was a bit of a doldry weekend with some of the footy results, but yeah, I'm going very, very well. Footy aside for my moment there, but we've got a few fans joining us, some of the faithful. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We are in the house with you, Fred, Chris, Brooke, welcome. And the banter begins. Brooke, Con, hello one and all. Look, there's been a lot of our content just continuing to roll out, Liam. But yeah, tonight we will have a good look at the game that was. You joined Timmy on the 6 Points pod just to have a look at the game that was and raise some good things there. So if you haven't heard that just yet, check it out on all your favourite podcast platforms, Talking Hawks.
If our rucks are listening, they may want to skip it.
Liam always has you under the magnifying glass. So, but because he's a big fan, that is why, and wants the best. We have Smitty, as always, has done his star reviews, and that was interesting. I don't know that I fully agree with all of Smitty this week, but it is tough gig when you've got to grade our players the way we do in a performance when it's when you get touched up a bit. So. Kerry, Mac, welcome tonight. Nick, good to have you. We've got really cool thing coming up this weekend against the Blues, though. So Talking Hawks, those that are involved in our player sponsorship. And Liam, I know you're one. Don't know if you travel down for this, but if you are involved, there's 2 tickets to the lounge. So they are catered tickets at the MCG, reserved seats, beer, wine, spirits, and some finger food and the like, just to keep you covered through the day. They're up for grabs for those that are part of our player sponsorship. So appreciate some of you interstate and overseas, and we love having you. But maybe you want to send somebody. So for those that may be involved, the notes are in the YouTube. The link to our player sponsorship is in the YouTube notes. So. Or on the podcasts and on Facebook posts, wherever you're looking. So if you're keen, let us know. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff for the function at the Harrison Room at the good old MCG. So been able to enjoy that with a few of our player sponsor group in the past, Liam. Perhaps we'll have to get you there along sometime. There are extra tickets if you want to bring more. It's $275 per adult, $95 for a youth, sort of 13 to 17-year-old. And $50 for a child, 2 to 12. So enough of all of that. But if you contribute over $250 or $250 with Talking Hawks to sponsor Denver, Jai, and Jasmine Fleming, then you can be part of that this weekend. I'll be there, but not in the room with you. So, where do you start, Liam? You've already started. You did the 6 points with Timmy, but fans. Where do you start? I was enjoying watching Box Hill first half. I was, it was okay in different regards. And then the bottom dropped out of that one. And I don't know. What's going on with the weather? Coming off the bye, Liam, you've touched on some of this, but what did you make of, I guess, the contrast that we saw in these games compared to some of the recent weeks?
I mean, both games followed pretty similar patterns. I don't think anyone is going to willingly watch the first half of that AFL men's game again. Like, it was not a good standard of football from either side. I sent a message to Daz at halftime. Like, no one is willingly watching this again from any perspective. Like, no one is going to voluntarily subject themselves to that because it was just not good quality football. And then in the second half, Gold Coast showed their quality. We should have been further up at quarter time. Given that we weren't, Gold Coast should have been a lot further up at halftime. We really have Will Day turning back the clock, even though he's 22, to show himself as an intercepting defender again. Like the 22-year-old turning back the clock, which is a bit odd to say. But in the second half, we just, I don't know, forgot how to play. Forgot that we were there for work. Like, I'm not sure. It's just
the contrast.
And from having chatted to people about the Box Hill game, it was near identical in the VFL.
Yep. The contrasts are interesting. If you catch it, Timmy talking to Colo, Andy Collins on podcast has just been released. It was fascinating hearing some different insights there and what's going on in the coach's box and in their minds and how much they take accountability for that sort of thing. But look, someone I watched very closely, Denver, I thought he was doing quite well in Marbio against Chol in the first half, and that was really the way Colo took it too. And then when there was a concussion with causing the match-up on Sam Day to mean Denver was giving up 20 kilos, it hurts. So there was a question here around Denver this week. I'd like to think so. I just don't know that he's quite – that was Nick. Not quite there, but first half, yeah, he had a bit of a contrasting game as well himself.
Yeah. On Denver, just quickly, can I say against a different opponent, yes, would be my answer. Because I frankly don't think that playing him against Charlie Curnow or Harry Mackay is the ideal way to bring him back into the first and get his confidence up. I do think playing against the last two Coleman medalists, that's what they are. That's not going to do any good for his confidence realistically, unless he has the absolute game of his life.
And it's who's around him as well. Good point. I think with look, Hardwick and Day did a pretty spectacular job with the hole that Sicily leaves us, but I think it's who's around Denver as well that can make a difference at this point. So sorry, mate, I'll cut you off there, but
no.
Those two had a cracking day out, Day and Dimmer. So what was it? 38 possessions. Hardwick, just not too bad, is he? He needs to reach into the bag of tricks.
Not bad for someone who struggled as a forward because they weren't big enough for the role they played.
Very true, very true. And before we move on, look, Denver's kicking a sneaky goal. I didn't mind seeing that. So I think it's going to be a fascinating one. But fans, what have you got? I'm just going to roll through some of these questions just to kick us off here. Mac, love that you join us from Portugal.
Good morning, Matt. That's probably afternoon there, actually. I think they're 8 hours.
A few comments on the ruck here, Liam, so you're not alone with... I'll be interested to see how Meek and Reeves respond in a big way. Hopefully, it is in a big way.
Because they're going to play. They are going to play because Sam Mitchell wants to play 2 rucks and we realistically have 2 project rucks in the 2s at the moment.
Yeah.
2 very talented project rucks, but they're project rucks.
Very true. Do you ascribe to this and your thoughts, Liam? Because I don't know that it's a big factor that the heat, other than maybe we're not fully used to it, but they're professional. They're coming off the bye. That's my big question. What's our protocol? How do we prepare for transitioning back off the bye when we saw all of the other teams in the AFL coming up for a loss after the bye?
I think it's more correlation than causation. If you look at the matchups, and some people with jobs involving this have done more deep dives, like most of the games have been quite predictable in terms of who wins regardless. So I think it's more a relationship of correlation than one of causation. I don't really for 1 second buy the heat or humidity argument because the reality is it's the exact same for both teams. And at the end of the day, both teams have 23 full-time professional athletes out there whose job it is all day, every day, is to be able to play and adapt in all conditions.
Agree. I'm lagging a little bit behind here on the comments. The people, Tom's suggesting we roll out Storm, as I learned his name earlier this season from one of the player interviews that Timmy did. Good insights again from Hale, just the way he does working with some of our rucks and mids. But the comments here thinking can't have Day in the back line. That'd be fascinating to see where Day does play this week, but we'll get to that shortly. Do we need a different strip here? Chris is just, he's searching here now. I don't know that I've got the context here fully, Chris, but let's see. We've got to do something. We can't turn up and do that again. So there we go. I think interesting thoughts on DJB v Frost for this week, or is it one or the other? We will see. All right. Questions around. Yeah. What's the factors? Thanks, Dami. It's who knows? Who knows? I think it's, you got to put the cue in the rack quickly. This was one of those ones where you probably, as a player, glad that it's just a one day just to mull on it, and then you move on and get ready, as the club do under Sam. So, okay, Mac's gone to town here. Mackenzie, what did you make of Frenchie through the day?
I will point out quickly, Will Day did still attend 19 of 23 centre bounces, so he was still in the midfield and then just rolled back.
Our very own stats, beautiful, love it.
I don't think it was Frenchie's best game. I've seen him play a lot better. I don't think he was fumbly. He was very uncharacteristically fumbly. He was taking two grabs a lot of the time, and I think that he put himself under pressure, and yep. I think that impacted the quality of his ball use and his decision making. But yeah, I think a lot of it came with Mackenzie was down to how he grabbed the football, and then you're right, the positions he got himself into were not ideal. But he's also an 18, 19-year-old kid playing something like his 12th game, so.
I would have to go back and watch it, Liam, but do you think some of those was where he was when he was receiving them? Did he get a few hospital balls that were really putting him under the pump that might have caused him to hear some footsteps and maybe double grab at the ball?
It seemed like every third disposal was a hospital ball, so I'm sure there were some.
Yeah. All right. And Brooks, we'll just sweep through here very quickly, I think, on Gold Coast and look forward. But maybe, Brooke, maybe it's definitely not a reason you still want to have the attitude and the fight and the effort and the intensity. And we just dropped the ball this week. So
it's a factor. It's not the factor. The reality is James Sicily may have come out of the team, but it's not like he was replaced with a witch's hat. He was replaced by an AFL level footballer.
It's you've got a short window to step up and perform in the current setup with the Hawks. So I think there's a few knocking on the door, and we'll touch on the Box Hill game soon. But looking good injuries-wise, I was excited. I thought we'd perform better than we did, but everyone's starting to look forward here in the comments with me. We will see. Mate, I think the one thing I wouldn't mind knowing from your perspective, and I'm going to just briefly change tacks. We've seen Lynch and Colo mentioned that Lynch won't be playing again this year. So he's joined the AFLW coaching ranks along with Benny Cavaro. And it's good to see a mix of men and women. And Beck, we'll have Beck Goddard on the show, I believe, before the season starts, AFLW season. What are your thoughts on the mix of, I guess, the men and women in the coaching ranks across, at all levels, really, AFL and the VFL?
Love it. I make no secret of the fact that I'm a big advocate for women's football and women in football and women in sport in general. I'm right now wearing a WNBL team hoodie and have an AFLW Guernsey hanging behind me. And, of course, have Soaring to New Heights, which is the affiliated AFLW podcast that Timmy and I co-host. I love it. I love seeing the diverse range of perspectives that you're going to get. And Beck Goddard has said this on another interview I've heard with her as well, having a more diverse coaching panel won't cost you a game, but it may well win you one. So I love the fact that you have those people with diverse ranges of experiences and who can understand the difficulties female athletes face as well. And then Max helping integrate the programs between the club. I love it. Love seeing the men's program involved. Love seeing the diverse coaching opportunities. And yeah, I don't shy away. Neither do we, any of us here at Talking Hawks, for our support for the women's game and women in the game. So
yep, it's going to be very different in the years. It's going to be very different in the years to come, and I think we've got a really quite an amazing coach in Beck, and I think she's just very, very driven, but thinks outside the box, and I always love listening to what she's got to say. So those girls in the AFLW and no doubt in the VFLW, that'll just keep through Cherie O'Neill and whatnot, that'll keep reaching them. So things to look forward to, but happy for Max Lynch joining in the coaching ranks. I think he's a teacher. Is he by... Oh, he studied to become a teacher. Is that right?
I think he's studying to become a teacher, yes.
There we go.
Which, there's a lot of teachers at Hawthorn and Talking Hawks as well, actually, with Timmy and Jake both being employed by schools as either a teacher or support staff.
There you go. Well, if you want to be part of us and learn a thing or two, if you think we can offer you something, we'd love to get you involved in Talking Hawks. So just do a little promo there, but always looking for more people with passion about the Hawks wanting to get involved and try a few things. But it's good to see. I think we'll just transition into the VFL game very briefly. Maybe we'll just touch on the highlights. I really tried to get Zane and hoped he might be available. One of the busiest men in football, but I think from the game that was, those that are listed, we'll jump into the injuries straight after that. But Joshy Ward, the standout there. Did you watch the whole game, Liam?
I didn't get to. I was quite busy until not long before the game. I've seen the numbers. I've seen some highlights.
Yeah, it's
they already do play with a smaller ball. The ball is barely bigger than my hands, so they do play with a smaller ball already.
This is the women's game, is it? Sorry, there we go.
Yeah, the ball. Like I was walking behind the goal in an AFLW game last year. I picked the ball up, and it was literally the same size as my hand. Granted, I have quite a large hand, but it was literally the same size as my hands almost. It's
Yep.
Those balls are almost too small to control if you get much smaller. So,
well, the quick recap: Joshy Ward, 38 disposals, really putting his hand up super, super high. 5 clearances, 4 marks, and a goal. Really solid. Cooper Stevens, I think he's going to be unlucky again. 24 disposals, 6 clearances, and a goal. Liked parts of what I saw with Husway. Chad probably, for mine, hasn't quite done enough. It's 8 score involvements, playing forward all day, 18 disposals. Good effort, good to see him. I think he'd really lift. I think he's bringing something, just the experience around some of the younger players. So that is good. Jai Sarong, I probably noticed him a little bit more. Ned Long, I hope for a bigger game. But look, there's a few that want to put that one behind them. I don't think Harry Morrison's quite done enough to get a look in this week. It's good seeing Joshy Bennett's getting amongst it. Other standout, Fergus, 3 goals. So the ones for mine would be Ward, potentially a look in as far as the hand up. And if you want something a little bit different, maybe you consider Fergus, but I don't know if it was quite enough. So did you have any other thoughts, mate, looking through the stats on that game?
For me, Ward has to come in, probably as a commenter I know very well is saying, probably for Bramble.
There we go. Yeah, poor Brams. It was not a good one this week. But injuries-wise then, so looks like CJ probably at that VFL level. Jack O'Sullivan, Sol's available, so we'll see him most likely in the VFL again, getting a few runs, but Jekka and Maxi Lynch not quite ready to roll. So let's look at it this week, mate. We've got the coach that's just come off the Hall of Fame entrance, inductee. How was that reading, fans? How did you enjoy considering Sam's career? Could you stop for a moment and celebrate? What are your highlights? What are your memories of Sammy Mitchell?
There's a lot.
What's your favourite, Liam? What's the favourite one or two that really stick out?
I think probably his 2013 preliminary final. Helped keep us within striking distance within the first 3 quarters, and then my dad will always talk about a Jason Dunstall quarter. I'm sure he'll drop in the comments which quarter that was. But Sean Burgoyne pulled out the greatest individual quarter I have ever seen in the last quarter of that game. I'm 24 for reference, people. But yeah, Sam Mitchell in that game. And a lot of times against Geelong, actually, he really stood up even when we weren't always going well. But yeah, for me, it's the 2013 prelim and the 2015 grand final where I still think they need to search his bag from that day and see if he had his own football.
It was incredible that day, wasn't it? And I think at that point when you've been 12, 13, 14, 15, just to be enjoying it and soaking it all in and the moment. So, yeah, very impressive on so many fronts. Liston medal, JJ Liston, Cole Austin, he's done it all and did it the hard way. It's nice seeing a few of the tributes that are coming through Hawthorn from other players and people around Sam through his career. We've got to get Sam on at some point, don't we, Liam?
Yeah, you would have to.
Well, we'll
probably need to be on a stream than a podcast, though, because he talks forever.
Well,
very intelligent man.
Absolutely. Timmy's out there just amongst it with some of the press conferences down at Bundabergora. So we'll keep being known to Sam and letting him know there's a microphone here. As soon as he's ready, or a camera, hopefully he can join all of us here. So, all right, fans, what have you got this week? I'm seeing some suggestions here on changes, what needs to happen, but we're going to go into our best on ground and predictions shortly. But yeah, Carlton, I'm still a little bit buoyant and optimistic. I feel like they can't relax in the slightest, and you don't know what Carlton you're going to get, as it's been for a long time. They've got a lot of points to prove themselves, no doubt, but that surely think, they'd have a bit of confidence coming into this week. But I think we equally will. So what do you think of some of the key things we need to see, Liam?
I think we need to see a bounce back from the midfield first and foremost. We need to see the rucks as well turn up a bit more. They're not. It's a better matchup this week. You can't be dominated by Levi Casbolt. That's inexcusable. But Jared Witts is a gun. Mark Pitnet, Tom DeConing, Jack Silvani are not that. Blake Hardwick is probably a top 5 small to medium defender in the competition. I'm not playing him forward. Sorry.
You never know. You just keep them guessing. You never know. I like this from Huntsman. Mate, sorry, I haven't got you up too much tonight, but keep it all coming. I think that's a great prediction there.
Yeah.
Nuke's got to bounce back. It was okay. I just very invested in that boy. I just do want to see him absolutely flying. But that whole midfield brigade, you're right. I think get the service from the big fellas in the middle. It'll be a good midfield matchup, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be really, really fun one to watch. Nash v. Cripps in midfielders who 30 years ago would both be rucks.
You do well for your age, mate. You do very well. You are spot on. I think it's I'd like to see Day through the midfield a bit, though, as well this week. If Hardwick can cover things really well, I would say, you are relying on just the control of the ball and just that natural game that we're seeing evolve. The handball and the linking, getting the ball up and attacking out of the back. It is happening more frequently. So I don't know if Carlton's pressure is going to quite be there. It's a little bit of a chess game with Sam and Vossi, 2 blokes that I really enjoyed watching through their playing career, but I think both very gritty and inspirational. But I think they will both be absolutely on their game, knowing this is really critical for, one, the Hawks' pride and to bounce back and potentially shape other team's finals. But the Blues have really got to pull their finger out because they're a long way behind where I think they would have wanted to have been.
Yeah, their forward line has been where their real issues have been. And it's in terms of conversion. I think they've been well below expected scores for several weeks, bar outside of last week. They're just not converting their opportunities. And I mean, eventually they will. They're two key forwards, a Coleman medalist for a reason. But so we need the most important thing in the back line will be getting the ball to ground because they're perhaps a little top heavy in the forward line. Like they've got a lot of bigger players, taller players. And look, I don't know how many people can actually run with Seamus Mitchell and Josh Weddle. I'd be willing to bet it's not many across the competition. But I think Carlton is an even smaller subset of those who can really handle those two bursting out of the back. And Jack Scrimshaw is going to be quite important as well with his kicking out of the back because, when he and Sicily are there, one thing they do a lot when you watch them is James Sicily will be on the left-hand side as we face our goals, Jack Scrimshaw on the right. They will cross over like that, and they'll open up the whole field with their left and right boots. We kind of have to rely on Hardwick to do that, but he tends to defend on the right side of the field, so it's a bit more straight down the line.
Yep.
So how Jack Scrimshaw adapts with and without Sicily is going to be really important as well. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be getting the ball to ground and then running it out. I think Weddle and Seamus are going to be more important this week than perhaps a Scrimshaw who's a bit more of an interceptor and more of a static kicker, whereas those two are going to take a lot of territory with their legs.
Yeah, and that combination is nice. They know where each other, I'm starting to see that chemistry and that click, with knowing where the players should be positionally and whatnot. Look, Carl probably didn't have his best game on the weekend, but we've got to get our hands on it to give it to him. That's going to happen. I think Kerry's got a good question here. Do we tag Walsh? I have no doubt we'll tag Walsh for definitely parts of the game, and Nashi's our guy. I don't know. Do you see Nashi following anyone else, fans? Are we going to go a tag? Is Walsh the man?
Personally, I don't think we go a tag straight up. I think we can adapt to that if need be, even if it's just watching Walsh at the stoppage. I think
is Nashi that guy though that can he's now keeping them accountable because he's getting his own ball, he's influencing. Can he be defensive minded without maybe a super hard tag and still be maybe not that lock?
I think Patrick Cripps' size. Yeah, I agree with Dopamine. I'm just getting to that. Nash is going to introduce his shoulder to Patrick Cripps' sternum on many occasions.
You love that one. Most likely. Huntsman's come in with McGuinness. I don't think he's quite done enough to come in, and I don't think our midfield's necessarily relying on as much perhaps defensive. We've just sort of got a little bit of a happy medium, I think, with being attacking and trying to use the speed and the burst. So, yeah, it looks like Nashi to Cripps. I'll maybe eat my words here.
Paddy Cripps is 195 centimetres. The only other midfielder we really have that can go with him size-wise is Will Day, who's 192, or 191, 192.
But giving up a few kegs to Cripper, but being able to, who's going to have more damaging, who's going to be more damaging for them. So we might see some changes there anyway in that midfield battle. There we go. Can't disagree there. It's we need you more often, Mac. So we've got. I think let's move into the predictions then, mate. So we will cover all of this in our preview pod. Who have you got for best on ground? Your prediction, Liam.
I've been going back and forth on my predictions all week and all day, and probably will again. Jason, I think Nash is 198 last I saw. So, big boy for a midfielder. I just have a bit more faith in Carlton. I can't believe I'm saying I have faith in Carlton, but just I've been tossing up with this all day. Like in the last few hours, even I reckon I've changed my tip 10 times. I'm going to say Carlton by 10 points with precisely zero confidence.
Best on ground?
I'm going to say Connor Nash keeps Paddy Cripps fairly accountable and has a bit of the footy himself as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm backing in Daisy to be best on ground. He's going to come in with 28. He's going to get a little bit of pressure. But he's going to have a goal. I think he's going to have quite a few nice score involvements through the day. And I've got the Hawks by 14. I'm just quietly confident. And I think they will, with an extra day, it's a VFL playing Saturday, Box Hill. So it will be interesting to see. Got Timmy and Chris down there at Port Melbourne. So if you're going to join them, get down with the boys and cheer on Box Hill.
It's a big double-header too.
With the women's?
Yep.
We've got against St Kilda, City Oval.
Yeah, massive game. Last game of the home and away season, literally season on the line. There's top 6 make finals. 9 teams can still make the finals right now in the VFLW. 1 are locked in.
Whew.
With one game to go. It's the most ridiculous ladder I've ever seen. I've been covering it all for Soaring to New Heights, obviously. Every game has had a recap video and live tweeted by me. The VFLW, 1, get around it. They're a really good side. 2, it's ridiculous. Like, just the ladder of the season, it's so tight. We win, we're in the finals. We lose, we're almost certainly out because a couple of teams trying to push into the 6 play Darebin and Carlton. And, I mean, it almost hurts seeing Darebin in the state they're in, given how much they've done for women's sport. But those 2 teams are not very good. Like, plain and simple this season.
The man is a passionate one about all things women's football. So there you have it. Good little snapshot. Check out the Soaring to New Heights content. Liam, you've done very well honing your craft, mate, over the Journey On pod. And on the videos, the short videos. So Liam's always faithful to give a good recap, and he's all over it. So, mate, thank you. We will, I'm sure, see a really good arm wrestle this week. And I would love to meet some of you and give you a couple of tickets if you care to join us, and you go and enjoy it from the lounge up on level 2 with some reserve seats and a soft drink or a beer or drink of choice, and enjoy some finger foods. I'll be there with Chris O somewhere and a few Carlton buddies. Hopefully we're giving them heaps, but we might sneak in a podcast with Blue Abroad. So if you're keen to hear sort of 2 fan groups having a good natter, let us know. But thanks for joining us, everybody. We look forward to cheering on with you, and we'll catch you all soon. Go Hawks.